What's going on, guys? Phantasm Mask here, and last week I put up an unboxing video for the new Nintendo 3DS, and I said that I would talk about what I thought about this new 3DS in a future video. Well, I've played a few games through it. I've had it for a little over a week, so I figured, hey, why not? I think I'm ready to talk about this now because I think I firmly grasp all the features included in the new Nintendo 3DS. Now, to kind of preface this, I'm coming from the perspective of somebody who's never owned a 3DS before the new Nintendo 3DS XL. I've played on one. I've played on a 3DS maybe twice before I owned one. Wasn't really too impressed with the 3D on it, so I never wound up buying one. But then I always made the promise that since they gave Ocarina of Time the limited edition treatment, that if Majora's Mask got the same treatment, I would buy one. And naturally, as you just saw, got the same treatment. I've been playing two games through the 3DS, Super Smash Bros. On 3DS and Majora's Mask, obviously, on 3DS. And let me start with my experience, like a single-player experience with Majora's Mask. I think the 3D system, the new eye-tracking 3D system, is phenomenal. It is a massive improvement over the original, in my opinion. The original was always kind of wonky to me. It never quite ran right, and both of the times that I wound up using this, because I tried it out twice. The first time I was like, oh no, turn this 3D off. I don't want it. 3D is a gimmick. I can't stand it. Second time around, I was a little bit more open to it, and it just didn't work very well. I just wasn't impressed with it. But this new 3D system that's present on the inside, there's a little red infrared light that shows up here at the top of the 3DS that tracks your eyes. It works very well. I've done stupid things testing out this 3D, like holding it obviously center in your face, and kind of moving it around like this and things like that, and it does a very good job of eye tracking. There's only been a few instances where it was like a second delay, and then it quickly corrected itself. So all in all, really impressed with the eye tracking on this. As far as the processing power goes, playing Majora's Mask or Super Smash Bros., I never really had a very good idea of just how much faster this new 3DS was until I started looking at footage and comparison videos between the load times of the two, and I guess it's faster. I don't really know. I can't remember how fast the original 3DS or 3DS XL loaded games up, but from reading articles on the internet and listening to people talk about this new 3DS, the processing time is faster. The C-Stick, the little tiny nub here, which reminds me of a IBM or Lenovo ThinkPad. In fact, got one here in my closet, and I was looking at it, and it's damn near the same exact nub that you will find in the middle of the keyboard on those machines. At first, I didn't like it. I played Legend of Zelda with it for about an hour or two using that little pad until I eventually just turned it off and went back to the classic camera controls. Found myself playing the game a lot better with those. It is nice to have the option to move the camera around with the stick, but personally, for me, if it's something that I can avoid using, I avoid it. Not really too big on this thumbstick. It's not that it's too sensitive or it's not sensitive enough. It's just that when you're playing a game and you've got your fingers on the buttons and you're also trying to reach up there, sometimes it can be a bit distracting. Like, they've got Codename Steam coming out, or it's already out, and that's supposed to be a third-person shooter, and I'm kind of curious as to how that's going to play with the fact that you also need to be hitting buttons and using that C-Stick at the same time. Really curious as to how that would play. So far, it sounds like it might play horrible, but we'll see about that. I don't know. If there's a demo out, I'll try it out, and I'll give my impressions on that. As far as the C-Stick goes, I mean, it's there, it's nice. It's nice to not have to go out and try to hunt down a Circle Pad Pro, because for a while there, I know a lot of people were having problems trying to find one of those, and the fact, I mean, it just seems like something that having a second stick, I honestly think that a long time ago, Nintendo should have taken a page from the PlayStation Vita and just built the thing with two identical sticks like that on there. I could easily see the button placement, or maybe even this bottom screen being just a little bit smaller to accommodate a second stick. Because honestly, the second screen, like for Majora's Mask, you use it for item management, which is nice, but and also looking at a map. But Super Smash Brothers, I don't really use it too much. So far with the games that I've seen on there, it doesn't really use the bottom screen too much, and that's kind of the reason why I've been very negative on the DS line for quite some time. I feel like the Game Boy really needs to make a comeback. But so far, other than a few things here, I've really been enjoying this new 3DS and going through the library and finding out that so many things about Nintendo, because I've been absent from their catalog of games and consoles for quite some time. The last major purchase I made for Nintendo personally was back on the GameCube, so it's been a very long time since, even though my brother's got a Nintendo Wii, but he's primarily been using that. Like, I completely skipped the Nintendo Wii. It just did not interest me at all. Again, it's Nintendo doing gimmicks, and I don't really find myself using the 3D on the new Nintendo 3DS that often. Every once in a while, I'll turn it on, like whenever Majora's Mask has a cutscene or something like that, I'll turn it on, and it looks really, really good. Like, there's a section early on in Majora's Mask where the Happy Mask Salesman is kind of like going nuts, and that in 3D was a really, really good scene. Really enjoyed that. But as far as normal gameplay goes, I can't turn this on and just leave it on for Majora's Mask. For Smash Brothers, on the other hand, I turned on the 3D, and it didn't really make much of a difference. I didn't notice much on the 3D effect, and that's with the 3D slider turned all the way on, which I'm still personally kind of confused about as to the 3D slider. Does that mean that there are varying degrees of 3D? Or, I mean, 3D seems like a kind of thing that you either turn on or you keep off. I don't really know if there's supposed to be varying degrees of 3D. Maybe somebody can answer that in the comment section below. It's just an effect and a gimmick that I'm not exactly fully on board with, but it is nice to have a Nintendo handheld. I will say that as somebody who's been using a Vita for the past few years, I really like the ergonomics on the new 3DS. A lot of people are complaining about the XL being the only new 3DS coming out here in the States. Personally, I feel like this fits perfectly in my hands. I can't imagine trying to grasp anything smaller than this, and I have pretty small hands. I'm really content with the size of this. As far as the game slot goes, if I remember correctly, on the original 3DS, it was right back here, just like the Nintendo DS Lite that I used to own for a very short while. It used to be on the back here, and there used to be an SD card slot on the originals right in here, which is another thing I want to talk about. Nintendo are absolutely insane when it comes to the new Nintendo 3DS. You've probably heard by now, it doesn't include an AC adapter, which really didn't bother me that much. AC adapters for the Nintendo DS are incredibly cheap. Not that hard to find at all. I bought one on Amazon, I think, for $6.50. Not that big of a deal. Memory cards, on the other hand, are a big issue when it comes to the new Nintendo 3DS. I've got the little case right here. I swapped out the memory card inside of my new Nintendo 3DS because, frankly, 4 gigabytes, in my opinion, is not enough to sustain a digital gaming economy when it comes to Nintendo. With this 3DS, I found out that Nintendo has been making a big digital push, and they're still falling into the same trap that I don't understand, like with the GameCube, or even the PlayStation 1 for that matter, which they rectified later on with their PlayStation consoles and handhelds. And that's the fact that when I checked the memory on the 3DS, it's still in blocks. What is a block? I don't know. I can't find measurements for how much space a block is. It's very confusing to me, and I'm sure the answer's somewhere there on the internet. I'm just not looking hard enough. It wasn't that big of an issue for me, because these little tiny micro SD cards... First off, in order to get this out of the new Nintendo 3DS XL, you have to take off the back of the 3DS, which in itself is a process where I feel like I'm about to break the thing. You have to take a tiny Phillips head screwdriver, unscrew the back here, the two top screws, and then the cover kind of comes off. It kind of pops off a little bit. Then you have to take the stylus, which I just dropped, excuse me, and you have to pull on the sides here with the end of the stylus, and you hear a popping noise, which almost sounds like the back of the case breaking. Scared me half to death, because if any of you know about the rarity of these right now, they're hard to come by and very expensive to get. I don't like the fact that in order for me to change out the memory card on the 3DS, I felt like I was about to break it. It wasn't pleasant. It was... Look at the Vita. Just complete... Look at the Vita. It's at the bottom, little tiny micro SD card slot. Barely even notice it. Why do I have to take the back cover off of this with a screwdriver? This is supposed to be a handheld for children. And you're expecting 5-year-olds to be able to prop this off, take it off, take out the little tiny SD card slot, which honestly, a kid 3 or under would probably eat it thinking that it's food, that's how small it is, and then swap it out, and then put it back on. I know I'm complaining about just taking the back cover off of a handheld, but compared to the fact that your previous models was literally you lift up the flap, you press on it, and the SD card comes right out, it's a little bit ridiculous, Nintendo. I don't even really know why you switched over to micro SD in the first place, because I feel like I'm going to lose this damn thing. But 4 gigabytes for your micro SD card. 4 gigs on this little tiny thing, and you're expecting everyone and their mother to switch over to digital download. Well, here's the thing. Because of your file system and the fact that it's measured in blocks, I don't know how much space I have left. I don't even know how big of a micro SD card I was supposed to upgrade to. So what did I do? I went down to Best Buy and I bought a 32 gigabyte SD card, the biggest that you could slap in there, with the hopes that I can download as many digital titles as I want and never have to worry about filling up the 3DS. Hopefully that's true, because I was wanting to download Ocarina of Time, since Nintendo, in their infinite wisdom, no longer make physical copies of the game, and the used market is incredibly inflated because it's Zelda. I mean, come on, people go nuts over this kind of stuff. $39.99, and the store page doesn't tell me how many blocks the game takes up, or how big, in gigs, megabytes, how big the game takes up. It's one of my primary complaints about the 3DS so far, is that it's not very clear as to what the file sizes are. Other than that, I've been pleased so far with the Nintendo 3DS. I think it's great. Once I got my hands on this Majora's Mask one, I went on ahead and I sold my Vita, especially since I have a PlayStation TV now. This has replaced the Vita as far as walking around with handhelds go, and hopefully I can get a lot of mileage out of this, because I really want to enjoy this. I really want to get back into Nintendo, but Nintendo with me has been very, should I put this, even on the down lately with me. I mean, I'm still not thoroughly convinced on a Wii U, but hey, 3DS library, I mean, there's so many games that I want to check out. I definitely want to check out Ocarina of Time after playing Majora's Mask. There's a Star Fox 3D game, which to me sounds badass to turn the 3D on and maybe play that. Sounds really cool. As far as the store options go, as it stands, I'm not thoroughly convinced that Nintendo has a better library than, say, the PlayStation Vita, but that remains to be seen. All in all, the new Nintendo 3DS, it's new, it's faster. In some ways it's better, in some ways I'm questioning what Nintendo has done. I mean, come on guys, really, pack in an AC adapter in there. You don't need to skimp us on that. We're paying $200. The least you can do is allow us to charge the damn thing. All in all, enjoying it so far. I'm able to review 3DS games, which I'll probably be talking about. Unfortunately, I can't get footage for, but here's to hoping for a bright future on this channel with the 3DS. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any comments about the new Nintendo 3DS, or even questions about it, you can leave a comment down below. Trust me, I go through all of my comments because I don't usually really get that much, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the new Nintendo 3DS. So let me know. Thanks for watching. Phantasm Mask here, signing out.